Well, hello, and we're moving into chapter 5 of John's Gospel. And it's a healing at the pool, and it's a healing which takes place on the Sabbath. And in chapter 4, 5 and 6, there's three incidents. The Samaritan woman, she just wanted water from the well. She just wanted water to drink. And Jesus started talking to her about some much richer water. Here we have a man who wants to be healed and thinks, as we'll see, that you have to get into this pool to get healed. And again, Jesus is taking him to think more deeply, or to realise that things are not as he thinks they are. And then when we get on to chapter 6, we've got the feeding of the 5,000, and the people just want food, just want natural food. And Jesus then will start talking about himself as the bread of life, as being the true food. We're also entering into a time when there will be disputes between Jesus and the religious leaders, the Pharisees in particular, and one of them will start to happen here. Not in the bit we're going to do today, but in the next section after that. So let's read it from the ESV, as usual, chapter 5, and we'll read verses 1 to 9, just to set the scene of what's going on. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem, by the sheep gate, a pool in Aramaic called Bethesda, which has 5 roofed colonnades. In these lay a multitude of invalids, blind, lame, and paralysed. One man was there who'd been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been there for a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be healed?" The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no one to put me in the pool when the water is stirred up. And while I'm going, another steps down before me." Jesus said to him, "Get up, take up your bed and walk." And at once the man was healed, and he took up his bed and walked. Now that day was the Sabbath. We'll come on to the last significance of it being the Sabbath in the next talk. But here, first of all, this pool, it was believed that when the waters bubbled for some reason or other, that then people could get healed if they got into the water at the right time. The man being paralysed, or at least unable to, say he was paralysed. Just say he was an invalid. That's exactly what was wrong with him. Obviously, it was difficult for him to get into the water. He's in a kind of a catch-22 situation. Now, it's worth noting there is actually archaeological evidence for this pool. Or in fact, there's 2 pools. And that's why there's 5 colonnades there. There's one in between the 2 pools. So there is archaeological evidence supporting their existence. Also, there's mention of them in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And just generally, the New Testament documents are historically reliable. People just say, "Oh, we'll just treat them as rubbish." They're taking a very silly approach. There's no evidence for it. There's no evidence for them being utterly rubbish. There's an awful lot of evidence for their historicity. It talks about it being at the Feast of the Jews. There's 3 main feasts. We don't know which one it is. It doesn't say. So the natural conclusion to draw from that is it doesn't matter. So we're not worried about it. And again, there are lots of people there. Jesus picked out this one man. Now, why did he do that? We're not told. Tell us anywhere. We can't explain everything that God does. But let's just look at the main thing here. What did this man think? He thought, right, in order to get healed, I've got to get into that pool at the right time. He thought that was the only way he could be healed. What did Jesus do? He completely ignored it. Completely ignored that fact. Didn't pay any attention to it whatsoever. He just said, "Get up, take your bed and walk." And the man did. Now, we can be the same. When we're faced with some dilemma, some problem, some serious situation, we can get ourselves so worked up that we think, "God, you've got to help me," which is fair enough. But then we think, "You've got to do it this way. You've got to do this. This is how God's got to answer." And we get upset or fixated that God's got to solve my problem in this way. And a lot of the time we're completely wrong. Just as this man was completely wrong. The bubbling up of the pool and him getting into it was neither here nor there. It's totally unnecessary. Wasn't needed. A word from Jesus and he was sorted. And it's the same with us. We need faith in God, in the person of God, and in who he is. We need to stop trying to work out, right, God, you've got to solve things this way. God knows how to solve the problems. Amen.